Welcome back to On the Hook with Chris, where we get behind the scenes and thoughts of business owners and people moving the needle. Who am I? I'm Chris Weitzel, owner of Chris Seafood at 1300 Seagrave, Unit 4 in Woodstock. I bring to the table 20 years of sales experience to both the finance industry and more recently the retail sector, where my wife and we ran a roadside stand amassing thousands of face-to-face sales. We currently own and operate a fresh fish and seafood store. I love sales almost as much as I love business and food. Today, Garrett and I are out at 1909 Culinary Academy out by Air, where we are joined by my friend Bernia Martin, the co-owner and corporate business manager here. Thank you so much for taking the time to cook a little something and allowing us to get to know you a little better, Bernia.
My pleasure. Welcome to the 1909.
Thanks. So why don't you tell us what 1909 is all about?
Well, first of all, we have a really unique location here. We're located in an old one-room schoolhouse that was converted. It was built in 1909, which is where we got the name. And we're a culinary academy, so we teach people how to experience, love, and enjoy food.
Nice. So what do you got in store for us today?
Well, we're going to make, well, first of all, I love seafood. I heard that you love seafood. So we're going to make a Thai-inspired coconut curry with shrimp.
Oh, man. Good.
It sounds like a complex dish, but it's not. It's actually a few really simple ingredients that when you put them together, all of those flavors combine for a fantastic dish that is... it's a great lunch, it's a great dinner, it's great for entertaining. You can make it ahead and it holds nicely.
Perfect.
So it's one of those dishes that's really versatile, but super delicious. And we're gonna add some ingredients, but it's a really flexible on what you wanna put in to make it your dish.
And that's one of the things when you go and you're doing your course, it gives people the opportunity, mix and match, take in, take out what they like, don't like.
Yeah, we're gonna make a gluten-free version. You can make this vegan. We're gonna use shrimp today, so we're not gonna make it vegan, but you could substitute it with tofu.
Right.
So if you're entertaining and you know that you have a vegan gluten-free guest, this is easy to customize for that audience.
Let's get started.
Okay.
What am I cutting?
All right, we're gonna cut up some peppers and some onion. And now this is going to be our dish. You can decide how chunky we want these vegetables.
Okay.
Do we want like a nice big chunk on the spoon when we eat, or do you want something finer? So that's up to you. But our onion and our peppers, we're going to cut in a similar size chunk. You don't want tiny onion, giant peppers. We want them to mirror each other in size. So what are we going to do?
We'll go with...
Like a ½ inch?
½ inch, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's get dicing. So I'm using yellow pepper. I have some red pepper and green pepper here. It really doesn't matter. It's about what's going to look really pretty in the dish. So I'm going to use a little bit of yellow and probably the red. And then we've got the onion is adding flavor. Perfect. So this is our bowl for trims. I like to kind of be organized this way. We do this for class as well.
Right.
Is that what you're thinking for size of chunk?
Perfect.
Awesome. We're on the same page.
So when possible, I know farm to table is the buzzword when it comes to pretty much anything local. How do you go about that in your business model?
Well, farm to table has been, and sourcing local has been a priority of mine for a long time, long before I came here to 1909 Culinary Academy.
Right.
I actually did my master's degree.
At University of
Waterloo.
Yeah,
and my thesis was in the distribution of local food. So how do we get more local food right from the farm into kitchens, into like restaurants, into hotels, into hospitals, into university campuses.
So not to age anybody, but we're going back a little bit, right?
Okay, so I went back to school for my master's degree.
Oh,
I did my master's in 2010.
Right. So 2010, still 14 years ago,
Yeah, probably before, local was as big as it is today.
Right.
But I grew up on a farm, Chris, and so having access to local food just was a natural for me. Like when you grow up on a farm and you're growing many of your proteins and a 2-acre garden, that was just a part of my upbringing, and I guess a priority long before I even realized it was a priority for me. So yeah, sourcing local has always been up there for me. And yeah, over the years, I've just tried to find ways to make that a reality in my personal life, but in my business as well.
Right.
So these ingredients are fresh ingredients. Were sourced at YFM in Woodstock.
Yeah.
And it is amazing. You know, we're here in March. No, it's April now.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how many local ingredients are actually available all year round. So onions, these were grown last summer, but they've been in storage. The peppers are greenhouse grown in Ontario. Right now they're coming out of kind of the Windsor-Essex area.
Okay.
But before long, they'll be right in our own backyard and in local greenhouses. And so these are some of the ingredients that we're using today to ensure that we're focused on local.
Perfect. All right, got that done.
Okay, we're going to get some ginger going. So everyone asks, how do we peel ginger? Super simple. It's with a spoon, and it just slides across that skin. Super easy. And then we're not wasting any of the flesh. Just a tiny bit of skin comes off.
Yeah.
You want to finish that off? And then,
right.
Now people ask, do we chop this up or do we grate it? Again, this is your dish. It's up to you. So if you want a chunkier bite, ginger is a pretty powerful flavor. So you're going to either want to mince it pretty fine or shred it on a plane like this, and then you're going to get, you know, a really fine.
I'm a big fan of the microplane. I just love it.
My garlic too.
It's just same thing.
Yep. It's easy. It's it's quick.
Yeah.
Food doesn't have to be complicated.
No.
And that's one thing that I've learned over the years, that if you can find little ways to simplify things for yourself, go ahead and use those little. I'm going to chop up a little bit of green onion. It's going to be garnish at the end.
Okay.
We could use cilantro, fresh cilantro leaves. We could do, it's just going to be a garnish. So we're going to chop this up. Pardon me, I'm going to get into your way there. I'm going to do this on a bit of a bias, nice and fine. And then we get those really nice, long shreds that look really pretty, and they'll be beautiful on top of this dish at the end.
So you mentioned, you made just a really good point on food doesn't have to be hard, complicated. That is literally the one reason that we started with the videos that we do, keep some short on YouTube Shorts and do long versions of cooking. A lot of people are intimidated by seafood. I mean, I get questions all the time is, how do I know the shrimp is cooked? Well, it's simple. They tell you, but that is my whole motivation. And two, showing people it's not intimidating. Seafood can be cooked so easy, and any dish for that matter. But yeah. Yep.
Speaking of our shrimp, these are some beautiful. Now, you tell me about our shrimp. I know that these are nice and big and juicy. They still have the tail on.
Yeah.
These are, what size are they, 15?
These are 13, 15 shrimp. And all that means is anytime you're looking at shrimp at the store and you see a number on the bag where you'll see 31.40, 21.25, these 13.15. It's just how many shrimp come per pound. So most shrimp are sold in 1, 2, or 3 pound bags, but these here, so in a 13.15, you can expect 13 to 15 shrimp in the pound. And these here are nice. We just defrosted these, a lot of shrimp. We do get some shrimp at the store that come in fresh once a week, which is nice. But most shrimp is sold frozen. Right. Simple, run them under water.
Cold water.
Cold water, yes, cold water. If you do hot water, you'll see the color change.
You defrost them.
Exactly. And so the nice thing about these is, like a lot of shrimp they come with the tails on, but they're deveined. That means that little tract that runs down the back, that's all been cleaned out. They're just rinse off, ready to go, and the shell is off except for the tail. And
we're going to keep the tail on because I think there's a lot of flavor in that little bit of shell. And when we go to eat this, yes, you're going to have to squeeze that tail off. And people are always wondering, how do I get the shell out of that tail? I just pinch. Pinch and pull. And that comes off real easy. So we're -1 tail.
And you mentioned the roasting of that.
But there's lots of flavor.
There is flavor.
I leave the whole shell on, but then that's really arduous when you go to eat it.
When you roast shrimp with the whole thing, you can marinate it. You can throw a dry rub on it. But when you actually roast it in the oven with the shell on, it's kind of doing two things. It's steaming itself inside the shell. It's making it a little bit more juicy. And I love doing that. If you want the perfect shrimp cocktail, you go ahead, roast your own shrimp. In the shell, peel them, and hang them on the glass, and you will have, you'll just wow your friends.
Yeah, totally a different flavor. So we are going to use a garlic chili paste on here just to kind of marinate them for a few minutes before we saute them off. If you don't have this garlic chili paste, that's kind of the jar that I've used, that it comes in. This is available at most grocery stores now, from Foodland to Zayre's to No Frills, easily available. If you don't have that, just get some olive oil, some garlic, minced garlic, and some chili flakes.
Perfect.
And make your own. So, grab a spoon here. We're just going to get that in. And we're going to stir them up, get all of those shrimp coated.
Perfect. Where am I grating this into?
Yeah, just onto a pile here. Yep, anywhere that works for you. All right. We're just adding another layer of flavor here. And we will saute these shrimp off separately from the dish and then add them in at the very end.
Okay.
For a couple of reasons. It allows us to ensure that they're perfectly cooked. And it's so easy to overcook shrimp.
Yes.
Right? And so if you put raw shrimp into hot liquid, some of them are going to cook faster than others, and some of them are going to overcook. So if we do them in the pan and then add them to the dish just before we're ready to eat, make sure that we are.
And that's the one thing that I'll actually do if I will have some iced water beside, depending on what you're cooking, just to stop that cooking process right away.
Fast.
Yep.
I'm going to get the rice started.
Yep.
Okay. We're going to make, this is a jasmine rice. We're going to make a small pot of rice. This is a 2-to-1 ratio. So this is 1 cup of rice. We have 2 cups of liquid. I'm using chicken stock.
Okay.
You could use vegetable stock. You could use water. Okay. I like to use a stock because it adds just another little bit of flavor to the dish. But rice goes so well with curry.
Oh, yeah.
For a couple of reasons. It cools down the dish. Does it smell really good?
That's why I grated it on the mandolin.
If your curry gets a little bit too warm, a bite of rice in between just kind of takes the heat off your tongue before you go in for more. So I'm just going to go over to the pot.
Yep.
We had that on earlier. So 1 cup of rice going into hot liquid.
Oh, I got to be honest. My wife still cooks all the rice. I've always been intimidated by rice. I don't know what it is, but...
Admittedly, I am not a rice master.
Right.
And I can have rice turn out poorly at home, and somehow here it turns out properly.
Nice.
So there must be some magic in the kitchen. Okay, are we ready to get cooking?
Looks like it.
Okay, so we have a few ingredients that I want to go over before we start dumping them into the pot. We're going to start, we have some oil in the pot. We're going to turn that on. We're going to get our onions and our peppers sauteing and softened up.
Okay.
And then we're going to add some garlic. And then we're going to get in with our liquids to let these we're kind of stewing it a little bit. We're braising it. Those are 2 words that mean the exact same thing, right? Stewing and braising. It means hot liquid, low and slow for an amount of time until everything softens and all the flavors come together. That's what that means. Fancy terms, super simple. I have some water chestnuts here.
Okay.
Again, I like a dish that has a little bit of crunch, a little bit of bite. So I don't like to take my vegetables down to super, super soft.
No.
I like still a little bit of bite in it. And the water chestnuts add that. I also have some bamboo shoots here. And they also add a little bit of texture to the dish. You don't have to add these.
Right.
If you don't love these flavors, they're both very mild in flavor. If you don't like these, don't add them. If you like them, try it out. See if that's something that you want to add. We have some brown sugar here. We have some fish sauce. Fish sauce is a concentrated, blend of liquid seafood flavor. It might sound intimidating, but what you're really getting out of here is the saltiness. Saltiness and a layer of flavor. If this intimidates you and you don't think that you can do fish sauce, try a soy sauce instead. Can easily substitute that out. And if you know that you have someone who's gluten-free, so soy has gluten in it, go for the gluten-free soy sauce, often called tamari. It's a little bit more expensive, but if you know that you have someone coming for dinner that's gluten-free, that's the product to use.
There we go.
So you've got 3 options. We're going to go with fish sauce. We have some red curry paste here.
Very nice.
This is the magic for this dish. This is what makes this dish.
Okay.
It comes available, again, this is the large tub, the industrial size,
Exactly.
commercial size tub. But this is available in most grocery stores. It comes even in a little,
Yep.
1 portion or 2 portion size jar. There is a red curry paste, there's green curry paste. I like to go with red. 1 for the flavor, but 2 for the color in the dish. We have some peanut butter here. Some people like to add peanut butter to their curry.
Absolutely.
We have some garlic, so we're going to add our garlic in here. And we have our ginger, and we're going to add some lime juice at the very end. So you might be wondering about this combination of flavors. Thai food is very much about the blend of salty, sweet. So we're going to have sweet in our peanut butter and in our brown sugar. The aromatics of ginger and garlic. And then that acidity that we're going to get with the lime juice.
Right at the end.
And Thai food is about the perfect blend of those. And if you try your dish at the end, and spice from the red curry.
Yeah.
If you try your dish at the end and it's too salty, you need to find that balance. Add a little bit of sweetness, add a little bit of acidity until you get that balance out right. But let's get cooking.
Okay.
We're going to turn our rice right down now. Cover it up. Into the pot, we're going to turn on some heat. So you'll notice here, we're on propane out here, and the flame comes up around the pot. From a safety perspective, we have hand towels here. Always grab with a hand towel because the handle's going to get hot.
Yeah.
But I'm going to turn that down just a smidge. And let's get our peppers and onions in there, and we're going to get them smooth as sizzle. See how quickly that heats up on propane?
Yeah.
Okay. This dish does not take long to come together. Got most of them in. We don't have to use all of it. We've got a nice blend of color in there already. Red, yellow, and the white and green of the onion.
Got to get the red in there.
Oh yeah. Beautiful. And really we're just heating that up. Once they start to come translucent or clear looking, or the sauteing up of those onions, we'll add the ginger and the garlic. We don't add the garlic right away, so this is some minced garlic. We don't add it right away because garlic can burn quickly. And once it turns brown, it turns bitter.
Yep.
Yeah. And shall we saute up these shrimp while we're at it?
Get those bad boys in there.
Okay. Beautiful. Shrimp, come around. Yep. Heat up. Just keep an eye on that. Rice. See, that goes quickly.
It does.
So I've got it on. Actually, you know what? We probably have enough going there. Let's just turn it off. There's enough residual heat from underneath and heat in the pot. That's probably going to do its thing. All right. Give these another quick stir. And in go our shrimp.
In they go.
All right. Oh, and an onion for good measure.
Perfect.
So
they're going in right now, and you can see the color in them. They're the natural color. Don't let the red fool you, but the shrimp, when they do start to cook, are going to turn different shade of pink and then reddish. And it does not take long.
All right. See how our onions are starting to turn translucent and clear? Another minute and we're going to be able to add our ginger and our garlic. I should just be patient and just let them do their thing, shouldn't I? Don't touch the shrimp.
They're good. I always like the odd toss. If you're confident enough in your, always looks good.
Yeah, but they're not going to take long, are they?
No, they are not.
That pink is already starting.
Yep.
See how they start to curl up?
Yep.
That's how you know they can. All right. Ginger and garlic going in. That was about a tablespoon of garlic. Now I've minced this garlic up. If you just chop it up with a knife.
Yep.
And let's get this. So now, normally I'd say a tablespoon of ginger. We probably have 2, maybe 2.5 tablespoons there.
I like ginger.
But that's okay. Oh yeah. Warm that all up. Does it smell good in here? Onion, garlic, ginger.
Oh,
that is the best set of flavors. Okay. We're going to add just a little bit of chicken stock to our vegetables. Again, you could use vegetable stock if you want to make it vegetarian. Not a lot. Just enough to...
Perfect.
And then we're going to add our coconut milk. So there's a lot of different brands of coconut milk out there. I'm not partial to any one of them.
Okay.
You want one that, see how lots of this cream came out of the can with it? You want to find one that has a good amount of coconut fat.
Yeah.
That's all that is in with the liquid.
I love making mussels with coconut milk.
Yeah.
I
think we actually make coconut curry mussels here. I think that's your recipe.
I do remember making that.
And we've made it many times since.
Yeah.
So see how that fat is just melting right down into the dish? And it's becoming liquid. So again, we're not using a dairy product. We're using coconut milk. So that's another way to keep it a vegan dish.
Yep.
And a little bit more heat. In go our flavors. So, peanut butter. Are we a yes on the peanut butter?
Oh, bring it.
Okay. So again, about 2 tablespoons.
Yeah.
If you're making this for the first time, those shrimp are almost done.
They are. I just I'm just flipping over.
I'm going to turn the heat off again because there's so much residual heat in these propane stoves.
Okay.
If you're making this dish for the first time and you think that this is almost 3 tablespoons of fish sauce, if you're not sure if that's going to be too much, let's add half.
Okay. Taste.
And we're going to taste it. And if we need more, you can add more. You can't take it out once we put it in. Okay, so we've got a little bit of brown sugar for that sweetness. You could use honey. You could use maple syrup. Make it a Canadian Thai dish. Any sweetener. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Get that stirred up. That peanut butter is melting in there beautifully. And now we've got our red curry. How much are we putting in, Chris?
Oh, I love the heat.
Okay, so of it. So this is about 3 tablespoons.
Let's do it.
But we've put in almost equal portions, right? Okay. 3 tablespoons. Now we started a little bit less with the fish sauce. And this is going to make some beautiful color.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised, but this dish is almost. Right, let's get in. You want to put in some bamboo shoots and watercress?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, chestnuts? Okay, we'll just put in a few.
Okay.
There. You don't have to use the whole can. If we were making a soup for 10 people, I'd use the whole can.
Right.
Put in some bamboo shoots. Can you get a picture of that? How's that looking? Now, we're fairly chunky on this.
Yeah, it is.
Are you liking the amount of chunk, or should we add a little bit more chicken stock to make it a little more brothy?
Oh, I'm good that way.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
But do you see how this is so versatile?
Yes.
That if you like a brothier soup, add some more chicken stock or another can of coconut milk.
Yeah.
Now, when I make this dish, and we sometimes have a class of 20 people here, everybody's got a different level of heat tolerance.
Right. How do you deal with that?
Well, we kind of go middle of the road, and then at the table when people are eating, we'll have a little bit of red curry that they can add.
They can add
it might be Thai chilies that they can add some heat to their own dish.
Yeah.
And if people find it's too hot, we're going to turn this down. People find it's too hot.
Yeah.
I find if I have a can of coconut milk nearby and I can just add a tablespoon of that fat right to their bowl, that's going to take the heat right out.
That's a great idea.
So we can customize it a little bit. What else have we got here?
But people should also know they're coming to a Thai, they're paying money to come to a Thai tasting.
They are, but they're also coming for a cooking experience.
Right.
So we still are allowed to have our individual preferences.
True.
And we can customize, because we have 4 or sometimes 5 cooking stations. We can make one pot that's mild and one pot that's really hot, and people just eat out of the pot of their preference.
Yes.
All right, we're getting right down to the end. I'm going to turn these down because we are bubbling away. And we're going to finish off with some lime juice.
Perfect.
Now, we can squeeze limes. Or we can use a fancy
reamer, kind of,
yeah, juicer. So this one juices both lemons and limes. Now these limes have not, they're past their day, but that means that they're great for juicing. I wouldn't use these for garnish.
Right.
I don't like to waste food, Chris.
No.
It's
not really my vocabulary.
No. The lime inside is still perfect. Might not have been beautiful on the outside. All right, what do you think?
Looks like it came together pretty well.
I think so. I think it's time to get that shrimp in there. We're going to turn that right down. And then we're going to garnish with our green onions. And
nice. Hey, what's that over there? What's it good?
Oh, and our rice might just be looking like rice is supposed to look. How was that shrimp?
Wow.
Is it acceptable?
It's very good.
It's very good. It's very good. All right, let's put them in. Ooh, and all of that Thai chili sauce is going to go in. Let's put that to the back out of the way. Okay, look at that. That is gorgeous. All right.
That looks good.
Yeah, there's a scoop right behind you. I'm going to bring some bowls over.
So how would you, I'll let you, do you just rice and over top?
We're going to put the rice in a different bowl on the side.
Okay. You getting this, Garrett? You got to be drooling by this point.
Would you eat that? Is that acceptable?
I'll eat that. It's a great breakfast.
I mean, to be fair, I'll eat almost anything. But this I am really going to enjoy. Got to get 3 or 4 shrimp into every bowl. Make sure that you get a good amount of chunk, good amount of broth, a little bit of garnish. Now, again, could do cilantro. Not everybody likes cilantro. Do you know why some people don't like cilantro?
Why?
Okay.
Right.
Some people find cilantro tastes soapy in their mouth. It is the pH level in their mouth that interprets it differently than normal people.
I thought they were all just weird.
People.
Just weird.
Nope. Some people, it's the pH level in their mouth. And it is a similar experience for asparagus.
I have heard that, yes. Do you want me to take those over to the
Sure.
table there?
Yep. And I'll get a scoop of rice to go with it. Should we pour the water, Garrett?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's like brunch, isn't it, Garrett?
The talent has to eat too. All right. So a little bit of rice on the side.
Yeah.
Get another one. All right. I'll grab a third. And I don't want to brag, Chris, but I think that rice...
That turned out really well, Bernia.
I don't know. Again, it's the magic of the 1909 kitchen.
There we go.
People ask me that all the time. They're like, they'll make a dish here and then they'll go home and replicate it. And they're like, it didn't taste just exactly the same. Now, some people don't have the exact same ingredients at home.
Right.
Right? But there is something about this kitchen that the dishes just turn out. Oh, yeah. Look at that. All right. You want to garnish this up there? Put a little green onion on. And just like anything, if you don't like green onion, use something else. If you
Garrett, do you like green onion? He's shaking his head. Make it rain.
All right, I'm going to get some cutlery.
So as you know, that took no time at all. That was so fast. So when you're looking for an easy, entertaining meal, I'd put this one right at the top of the list. Follow those instructions that Bernia did for controlling the heat for the people who don't have quite the palate for it. So So is this what a typical night looks like? You cook your food, you talk, you mingle.
Yeah, pretty much. People come in. We have a drink list. People can get a beverage going.
Yeah.
Everyone goes to their stations where everything is set out, just like we did tonight. Everything's pre-measured.
Right.
And then we make our dishes. Most classes we make 3 or 4 dishes, depending on the theme. But we have some special classes coming up where we're going to make a little variation there. And at the end, everybody comes to their table, sits down, and we serve what they've made, and they get to eat the 3 dishes that they've made together.
Perfect. Now, what kind of time frame do you like to adhere to?
Yes. So classes are typically 3 hours in length. And about 2 hours of that is spent cooking.
Yeah.
And then the final hour is eating, socializing, chatting. And I'm gonna tell you a little something that I've learned about people. People come into the 1909, and the first 2 people come in and they will choose a seat. And the next 2 people come in and they will sit as far away from those 2 people as possible. Because that's our natural behavior, right? Shit. And then the next 2 people, they'll sit in the middle table, and then the next 2 people come in and they're like, oh, we have to choose. We have to sit with other people. And it is a natural behavior, strangers.
Yeah.
But by the end of the night, no word of a lie, this happens every single week. People are laughing, people are joking, they're taking photos together, they're taking photos of their food together. And there is something about food that brings people together in a way that sports doesn't, and, that so many other experiences don't bring people together like food does. And it happens every single week, Chris, no word of a lie. And when people, once it has happened that someone is sitting at a table and there's lots of other free spaces and another couple comes in and sits with the people that are already there. It's happened once.
No doubt.
Yeah.
That's good. So the term break bread really
It actually is a thing.
That is.
Yeah.
Now I did have to laugh the one time where I did get to co-cook with you on the seafood is that you mentioned how food brings people together and make... there was people, we brought a case of oysters, I remember.
Yes.
And there was a handful of people who have never, ever, would not try an oyster. Those are, you can just imagine.
Slippery things.
Slippery, slimy, I've heard it all. But by the end of that night, everybody had tried an oyster, and the one person who had never tried an oyster
probably had 12.
They were hitting double digits. I know that.
So there was probably 16 people there, 16 people. How many oysters are in a case?
100.
Yeah.
We blew through 100 case oyster.
So a few people had double digits that night, I think.
So.
Yeah. But not just the experience of trying an oyster.
Right.
You showed them how to shuck an oyster and safely shuck an oyster. And so people go home with a whole new skill and the experience of having tried something that they were maybe intimidated by before.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the magic.
Which they probably wouldn't try at home, but you put everybody in a group communal setting.
And it's safe then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You've never done it either? Okay. We're in it together.
I'm doing it.
Yeah. Are we going to try
This is killing me. Let's...
All right. Now, I never know if this is a spoon dish or a fork dish, but...
Not too hot. Creamy.
Taste the peanut butter?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely taste the peanut butter. And I hear a little crunch in there.
Crunch from the onion and the peppers. That heat is phenomenal.
That's warm. That's good. Now, I like to just scoop a little bit of my rice right in there. That's how I like it. You don't have to enjoy it the same way.
Well,
you do how you like it. But after that 4th or 5th bite and the warmth is just kind of setting in, I find a little bit of rice. Settles that heat down, and I'm
perfectly
ready for
cooked rice too.
Right?
Way to go.
Imagine that.
Well, I gotta try the shrimp.
That's a meaty shrimp. Look at that.
That's a full mouth bite shrimp.
The flavor on that.
And again, if you got the time on that size of shrimp, that was definitely that was probably 6 to 8 minutes start to finish in a preheated pan with a bit of oil. Phenomenal.
Now the red pepper flakes that we marinated those in,
if
that's too hot, just skip that step and just do the shrimp.
That's true.
This is one of those dishes that is so customizable.
Nice.
Customizable? I think that's a word.
So now many people dream of turning their passion into a career, but you've made it a reality. Can you share the pivotal moments and kind of mindset shifts that led you from the concept to the creation and evolution of this here Culinary Academy?
So you've mentioned passion and turning it into a business. And I will say, for us, it worked. For here at 1909, it has worked. But I would caution people that that isn't always the case.
True.
Sometimes if you love to do something, it might be woodworking, it might be art, it might be crocheting, it might be writing. Turning it into a business doesn't always translate.
100%.
Because the minute you turn it into a business, it becomes an obligation, and you are always chasing the next client, the next dollar, and the joy might get sucked out of the passion.
Will, probably.
It might.
Might.
But yes. So that's always a caution when people say, this is what I love to do, I'm going to turn it into a business.
Right.
In this case, it did translate. So I'll take you back to 2018, was kind of where this all got started.
Okay.
And I was working here in Oxford County, working in economic development for the rural municipalities. And I had gotten a grant from the Greenbelt Fund to teach people how to can and preserve using local food.
Oh, okay.
So the grant wasn't just to run the classes. The grant was to create marketing materials and some curriculum. So we had a whole turnkey system that could be we turned it back to the Greenbelt Fund, and any community, any individual, any group could pick that up and implement it in their own way.
That's phenomenal.
So teaching people to can and preserve using local food.
Yeah.
The peach season in Ontario is very short. 8 weeks, 10 weeks maybe if you're lucky. So how do you take peaches and can them or preserve them so that you can enjoy them all year round? How do you take sweet corn, another short season here in Ontario? What do you do to that cob of corn so that you can enjoy it all year round?
Yeah.
And so that's where that background of growing up on the farm and years spent in the kitchen with my mom and my grandma, learning those canning and preserving techniques that kind of has skipped a generation. My generation of young people, my generation didn't necessarily learn that from their parents or grandparents, and I was fortunate that I did.
Right.
And so over that 2018 summer, we ran 37 classes with about, 15 or 20 different themes. Making relish, making antipasto, making strawberry and raspberry jam. How do you take peas in the pod and get them out of the pod, and what do you do to them so that you can put them in the freezer and they taste great when you go to thaw them in December?
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's how it started.
Right.
And I was renting a kitchen in Woodstock, and it was a fantastic kitchen, gorgeous kitchen. But when you're renting, you have to bring all your equipment in every week, unpack it, host your class, wash everything up, pack it all up, put it back in the car, bring it back next week. And while it was a gorgeous kitchen, it was a bit of a labor of love.
Pain in the ass.
Yeah, well, I'll call that a labor of love. You use your word.
There's the politically correctness coming.
And through that, it was like, okay, need to find a kitchen where we own and operate and can do this on a regular basis. And this whole schoolhouse has a whole history, a whole long story, right? 115 years of history here.
Right.
And this building had sat empty for quite a few years.
Okay.
And it was through that desire to find a location that I remembered this building was sitting here. It was empty. And it had a lot of work that needed to be done. But through a bit of a vision, figured out that this could be a place to convert into a commercial kitchen where we could teach people how to love and enjoy food in a unique way.
That's quite the story.
There's more to it, but that's the Coles Notes version.
Because I do know this. If you get a shot of this overhead suppression system here, this is the biggest overhead suppression system. I've been in I've been lucky to be in a lot of kitchens, and this rivals some massive kitchens.
So this system is oversized for a major hospital. It is oversized for a major institution.
Okay.
And that goes back to the original engineering and drawing. And every time someone came in to inspect, they said, it needs to be a little bit bigger. And it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And you're seeing the inside. What we don't see is outside the building. It keeps going out the back of the building and out the side of the building for ventilation and cold air return and all of those fancy things. But this is what we ended up with,
Yeah.
and it works brilliantly for our needs.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I'm going to have another bite.
No, it's so good, right?
It is.
It smells delicious.
Damp day, it just kind of warms the cockles.
This is a dish that is a 365-day a year dish.
Sure.
There's nothing, it's light,
Yeah.
but it is comfort food,
Big time.
right? It's not a heavy dish.
Yeah.
Like I would enjoy this on a summer night.
For sure.
It's a lunch dish, it's an evening dish.
I hear you.
Yeah, Sunday morning breakfast.
So every entrepreneurial journey is fraught with challenges, and I'm sure you are no shortage of them, but could you share some of your most significant obstacles that you faced while establishing and growing your business? Like, most importantly, how did you overcome these challenges, and give us a lesson that you did learn?
Oh gosh. So I've been a business owner for a lot of years. This is not my first business.
Right.
So I probably learned a few things along the way before jumping into this adventure. But a couple of things that come to mind, access to capital.
Okay.
Whenever you start a business, you need to be able to access the financing in order to, unless you have really deep pockets,
Right.
that I don't have. You need to be able to access capital. So knowing what your options are,
Okay.
Go ahead and shop from bank to bank to bank. Now, today's environment is a little different than 2018. Interest rates are a little bit higher. Inflation is a factor. Would I embark on this adventure today in this economic climate? Probably not.
Right.
Fortunately, 5 years ago, it was a different story. Interest rates were much more enjoyable, less painful. But you always have to keep in mind, what is the economic and financial landscape and how is that going to change?
Right.
We're not going to dwell on it, but we got to enjoy a pandemic in the middle of our, first 5 years of being in business.
Yeah.
And so you never know what is going to come along. So you have to be nimble enough to adapt while still sticking to your core beliefs and values and goals.
Yeah.
That's what I learned.
That's what you've learned.
That's what I learned.
Resiliency had to have come into play during that period.
Yeah, resilience and adaptable, and we couldn't have classes. We couldn't have groups of people gathering.
Right.
Fortunately, we were able to adapt and offer takeout to people and offer an experience of dining outside.
Yeah.
And that worked.
Yeah.
Don't want to do that forever. I'm fortunate, I'm happy to be back operating the way we are, offering classes for the community and for private groups and corporate events. This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
But we made it work.
Nice.
Yeah. It was an adventure.
That's business.
Yes. Oh, you never know what any one day, the number of things that have happened here that are unexpected and you just have to deal with. We had a class all set up. It was a year ago in March, all ready to go, and people were coming in the door and the power went off. Right?
Yeah.
And you can do some things without power, but there's a lot of things like washing dishes that you can't do without power, especially out here in a rural community where you're on a well that relies on power. In the city, you might be able to get away with it a little bit, but you just have to roll with it.
The old saying, if you want to make God laugh, have a well-detailed plan. So, now, like you and I each have kind of one similarity in building these businesses. I know for us, putting a brick and mortar seafood store in the middle of a growing industrial area, it posed some issues and still does, but I did that knowingly. But here we are in the middle, like you just addressed, the well, in the middle of the country. Now, so we share a geographical kind of challenge. How did you overcome yours out here? I mean, we're outside of Ayr by the 401.
Yeah, we're kind of halfway between Drumbo and Ayr.
Right.
It's at least 5 minutes to the closest urban center, which is a small town, right? That may or may not have a gas station, right? Like it's not, they're not large urban centers. So a couple of things very early on was working to set up a Google location and
Yes.
ensuring that people could very easily find you. If they plug into their GPS 1909 Culinary Academy as a name, they could find us. If they knew our address, 5183 Trussler Road, they could find us. And establishing that and that credibility with Google, that was key. Because out here, it's an 80-kilometer road. So even if you had a big, ginormous sign, people are traveling at speed. They might not even see the sign as they're going by.
For sure.
So our logo is an image of the schoolhouse. So hopefully as you're approaching, you see that silhouette and you know, I have arrived. That's the picture. That's the logo. I know I'm in the right place. So a couple of those things were very intentional. And then because we're on Trussler Road and it is very well traveled, some people have just had the experience of driving by over and over and over and over again, and then finally make it, you know, a point to stop in and come to a class. So, those are a couple of the things that we were able to do to ensure people could find us.
Perfect. Now, I'm a strong advocate of morning routines and productivity hacks. So could you walk us through a typical day for you, if possible? But how do you manage your time effectively across all your diverse roles right now?
Yeah, so I'm an advocate of not enjoying morning. You're a morning person. When you told me the time of day that we were going to record this, I'm like, okay, well. And honestly, I'm going to pull out my phone here. My phone is my life. And I think back to before we all carried a calendar and a phone and an appointment book in our pockets. For me, my day is varied, very varied.
Very varied.
Because not only am I an owner here, and we're here 3 to 4 days a week for an event, but I'm also an elected official, business owner, also in Woodstock. So it is finding, and I'm a parent. I'm a mom. So it's finding the balance each and every day. And some days have a flow to it, and some days are the first time I've ever had a day that goes that way. But every day I carve out a little bit of time to focus on 1909 Culinary Academy.
Right.
That might be planning out a menu or a new theme to a class. That might be planning out some social media content and posting. That might be making my list of all of the ingredients we're going to need and placing that food service order or that online order. But every day I carve out a little bit of time. And then very specifically Saturdays and Sundays, I take a good chunk of time and set that aside for 1909, in addition to actually physically being here running classes. So everything is color-coded in the calendar, and that's just how I've had to arrange my life.
For sure. It seems to be working.
It seems to be working. People ask me, when do you sleep? I'm like, I sleep. I sleep very, very well.
Of course you do. And that's part of the self-care part that I think that a lot of entrepreneurs might neglect. And it's to their own detriment, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of 2 businesses and be an elected official and be a mother.
And being a mom. So I'm going to shout out to my kids. At Christmas time, they gave me some gifts that are a part of my comfort work routine. And so one of those nice wraparound pillows that, and there's a spot for the phone and a spot for a glass of water and a cozy blanket that I can work and be, have my laptop on my lap, but also be comfortable and relaxed while I'm working, because that's, so I have amazing kids that take care of mom.
Nice. Yeah. So like work-life balance, I kind of laugh at that term myself, because if you have to have structure in your days. Yeah. And if you don't have the time to put your family in there, who should be first, the work is not going to be effective, in my humble opinion.
And this is not a 5-day-a-week, Monday to Friday kind of business. This is and my life is 7 days a week. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. I'm going all of that time. So if there's a downtime, I carve that out and make it intentional. Yeah. If I've got 2 hours in between meetings, turn the phone off and just,
Perfect.
Yeah.
So for 20 years, you were the Chief Communications Officer at Achieve Consulting Group. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the origins and success of that business, which I'm going to let you kind of pivot into. You naturally moved into local politics?
Yeah, so Achieve Consulting Group is still alive and well. I just don't have the time to focus on it anymore. But it's a consulting firm that I started probably in 1998, I think. So there we go, just dated. It was born out of an experience. I was working for a company that did consulting. And so that whole exposure to, in the consulting world, it's very much about you eat what you kill. So you only make money if you're getting the next client, getting the next project, getting the next adventure. And I loved the work I was doing. I loved that nature of work. But when you work for someone else decides what you're worth. And I didn't enjoy that. I wanted to determine what I was worth. And that is at the core how you know if you have an entrepreneurial spirit. If you don't have that drive that I know I am worth more and should be, rewarded accordingly, that's a huge part of entrepreneurship. And so I started the consulting firm, and I was incredibly fortunate that almost immediately I landed a fantastic client. The whale of clients. Right away. And pure, like literally replied to a request for proposals in the Globe and Mail. Is that paper still out there? I don't even know.
Papers are still there.
Newspapers, there was an actual newspaper that I opened, 1997, 1998. And I had that client for 3 years, and I made more money in those 3 years than I will ever make again in my life. But that got me hooked, and I got incredible experience, kind of built that resume of, and it just kind of, it went from there. And before long, I'm going to say 2004, 2005, I got my first government contract. And that's where I kind of got the bug that municipal government might be something that, well, it intrigued me instantly. And I remember people trying to talk me out of taking that contract. You're going to hate it. Everything is so structured. It takes forever for people to make decisions. You're going to be frustrated. And I loved it.
How?
How did I love it?
How did you get, so you're dealing in private sector, and then Well, I opened the paper, Chris, and I saw an ad. Isn't that crazy? That is what I was trying to get the answer from, is that you looked.
So I saw the ad posted. Well, and that's, again, the entrepreneurial spirit. You're always finding the next opportunity. And especially when you're on a contract, and it's a 1-year contract, at month 9, 10, you're starting to look for, if that contract isn't going to get renewed, you have to start looking for the next thing. And so I did. I started looking for the next thing, and it was a contract in Perth County. And I knew some of the people in the area, kind of reached out. What do you think? How should I approach this?
So there was a networking aspect, you would say, Bernia?
There was a networking aspect. There is to everything.
Exactly.
If we're honest. If you're not gleaning little bits of information and filing it away over the years on who does what and how you can connect and circle back.
Well, your network is your net worth. I mean, I listened to Ed Milet on the way here, because this is the kind of the space that we're in, is the business space. We're happen to be cooking, but I'm trying to take my interests and meld them together into business. And so network is your net worth.
True, totally true.
And that's how you got.
Got that contract. So that was 2006, I think. And one contract. So I did an exceptional job. I'd like to think, and that led to another contract with the same organization, County of Perth, and that led to a third contract, which ended up being a 5-year contract. So a 10-month, and then 5 years. So spent almost 7 years working specifically in economic development with Perth County, and so that was, now that takes us into 2007, 2008, 9, and 10 economic downturn.
The great financial crisis. 08.
For those of you who weren't around then, it was something. And businesses were closing and people were losing jobs. And in economic development, it was my job to solve some of those problems, find solutions to some of those problems. And I, as challenging as those times were, I loved the challenge, and I loved the feeling of success in helping a community turn things around after some dark days.
Yeah.
And I was hooked. And through that, I met other politicians, provincial politicians, municipal politicians. And I remember one specific politician really having an impression that showed me by their example that if you work hard and you use your network and you are creative and out of the box, you can get things done. And it will make a lasting change, a lasting impression on your community. Nice. And that's probably what I have carried with me all of this time. I didn't run for public office then. My children were young. Yeah. I wanted to wait until I knew I could commit everything I had to it.
Right.
And so 2018 I did run. I didn't win. I lost by 23 votes. But ended up moving here into Oxford County in 2022. I did run. Yep. And I won. So I represent the city of Woodstock and Oxford County as an elected official.
So that's, if you're not busy enough with that, now you just, the most recent development would be you being the chairperson of the
Southwestern Public Health. Yeah, which is a unique responsibility. I'm actually on a lot of different committees and boards.
Yeah, and I was on our LinkedIn profile. I think there's 4 or 5 on each Oxford County and
there's probably 11
city.
or 12
Is it 11 or 12?
But some only meet once a month, some meet twice a year.
Yeah.
So some are more manageable. Southwestern Public Health is a very demanding one.
Right.
And especially right now. First of all, the province is encouraging mergers, and so that's a big topic. But public health has its fingers in every aspect of the challenges we are facing right now in homelessness, mental health, addiction. All of those challenges all kind of intertwine with public health. Yeah. And so I said to myself when I got elected, someone said to me, you can do a little bit of work or you can do a lot of work. The pay is going to be the same, which is not great, but that's the reality. Yeah. But the more you do, the more you will be likely to influence change. And that was my biggest reason for getting involved. And I said to the mayor of Woodstock, you tell me where you want me to serve. And then I said to the warden of Oxford County, you tell me where you want me to serve. Put me where my skills and resources can be best utilized. Wow. And that's where I ended up with public health and South Central Ontario Region Economic Development and the grant committee and sister cities and all the rest.
Yeah,
and fortunately, the political job and the 1909 Culinary Academy rarely have the same hours.
Right.
It actually balances quite nicely. Wow. If you can call 7 days a week balance.
I hear you there, though.
Yeah. But it's a completely different, and I talk to other politicians and elected officials, and I ask the question, can you get out of your municipal brain? Does it ever turn off? Because it doesn't ever turn off for me until I come here.
Okay.
And then I'm in a class and I'm teaching, I'm talking about food, which I absolutely love, and people are creating dishes and they're sitting down there like, this is good. And I'm like, you made it.
Yeah.
You made this dish.
Yeah.
And then they realize I made this dish. And it allows me to completely turn off the municipal brain and focus on something else.
That's
and so, awesome. It works.
That's good.
Yeah.
Awesome. What do we have coming up in the future? I know there's I love your Instagram. One of the interesting ones I seen lately was the tins.
Tin fish?
Tin fish.
Seafood. Yeah. You would appreciate that one.
Well,
you should have come.
I know. It made for some good optics on the Instagram.
Yeah. So that was a class, and that was, you never know where inspiration is going to come from.
Right.
That class was inspired by, I'm not afraid to admit, by a TikTok. Yeah. I had seen a TikTok in December, and someone who was posting about their 10 favorite cans of tinned fish, tinned seafood. Yeah. And in the TikTok, he said, I've tried 200 different brands and varieties. And I'm like, and these are my top 10. And I'm like, well, if you've done all the research, I'm just because I know I'm going to get probably the best of the best.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I started doing some homework. Could I find those specific brands? Because a lot of them weren't available here in Canada. I had to bring them in from all around.
Yeah.
And I think we had 9 of his 10 top preferred brands. And we paired them with cheese and crackers and, you know, radish and pickles and, you know, just all of those things that complement tinned fish nicely. And we had it all spread out here. It was a spread. And so people could try things that you might not want to spend $8 on a can of seafood and bring it home and not know if you're going to like it.
Right.
But this way you could try it and go, yeah, I like that. I'm going to pick that up the next time. So we had sardines, we had mackerel, we had smoked oysters, we had mussels, we had a lot of different varieties from different styles, different flavorings, some spicy, some with lemon, some with black cracked pepper. And so there's something for everyone if you like seafood.
Right. So coming up for the summer, what can we tell the people in the audiences might intrigue them? So we always have classes for the community, and they're always theme based. So most Fridays and Saturday nights, so it might be French cuisine or German cuisine or Caribbean cuisine or travel to Thailand or May 5th will be Cinco de Mayo and it'll be Mexican food. And those are the 3-hour events that we talked about. But starting next week, we are doing a simple soup series. Okay. And so instead of a 3-hour class with 3 dishes, we're going to go down to one dish, just like we did today. One soup. We'll probably make a bread or a biscuit to go along with it. So the price point is a little bit different because it's one dish and it's not 3 hours. It'll probably be an hour, hour and a half. And it'll be a different soup. And they're on Wednesday nights. Nice. So a different soup every week. We're going to start out with dill pickle soup. We're going to do... Right? It's delicious, you might think. And that one is also vegan and gluten-free. Okay. We're going to do a minestrone. We're going to do a gumbo, a New Orleans-style gumbo. Yum. We're going to do a lobster bisque. I'll be coming around for some lobster. Actually, that one's almost sold out. I think we've got 6 of them lined up every Wednesday for 6 weeks. And it's the opportunity, again, different price point, but to try something new. Soups are, again, so versatile, so delicious. It's a great lunch. It's a great Saturday morning. Leftovers take to work the next day. So, you know, soup's kind of a fundamental. So we're going to start there. Coming up this summer, we have 2 camps lined up. We have a kids camp, so kind of children 6 to 12 or 13 years old. And it's a full week, but you can decide how many days of the week you want to attend. Especially for the littles, you might just want to come. You might just want to come Monday, Thursday, Friday, right? Because you've got plans with grandma on the Tuesday, or, you know, whatever. So you can choose how many of the 5 days you want to attend. Every day is going to have a different theme. So Monday might be all about strawberries, because strawberries are going to be in season, right? Exactly. So we're going to make strawberry jam from scratch. And starting them young. Right? And then we're going to put it on. We're going to probably make some pancakes or some waffles. Phenomenal. And then we'll probably do like a strawberry vinaigrette on the salad at lunch. Perfect. Strawberry smoothies for afternoon snack. Everything will be strawberries that day. And then we'll do a day all about dough. So we'll make bite-sized pretzels and have the different dips. And soft pretzels are actually pretty easy to make at home. That's phenomenal. So we'll do that. We'll make cookie dough in the afternoon for afternoon snack. We'll do pizza dough for lunchtime, and people get to customize their pizza. So every day there will be a morning snack, a lunch, and an afternoon snack where the kids will be right here in the kitchen making their snack and eating it, making their lunch and eating it. And then lots of time outside. We have an acre of land here. So time outside to play games. We'll have crafts. We'll have skits. We'll have, we did it last year. It was phenomenal. Awesome. Another week of camp specifically for teenagers, building up some confidence in the kitchen. Nice. So we'll do some fundamentals. 5 different ways to enjoy eggs. Yeah, the basics. The basics. Different salad dressings. Yeah. A Caesar salad dressing, a ranch dressing, an oil and vinegar dressing, a French dressing. You know, a salad can be converted into a totally different flavor profile just based on the dressing. Yeah. Oh, so we'll do some fundamentals for teenagers. As someone who, you know, I have teenagers, I want to make sure that other kids, as they head off to college or university, can make something more than craft dinner. Yes. Well, that's great. Or ramen noodles. Good. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Love a good bowl of ramen. But yeah, so those are some of the things that are coming. Things are very seasonal here at 1909. In May, we'll have, asparagus soup is one of the soups that we'll make in May because Soup series.
Soup series. Asparagus will be in season. So we'll have a night that's all about asparagus. We have a class coming up that's all about ricotta cheese.
Yeah.
And we're going to make ricotta cheese from scratch.
Oh, wow.
And it's not hard.
It's not hard.
It's not hard. It's actually really easy.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun you got planned. So where can people go to find out about these courses and stuff to sign up?
Yeah, right here on the wall, we've got our at 1909 Culinary Academy is the place to find us on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
And then our website is the1909culinaryacademy.ca. And you can find out all of our upcoming classes, private events, the camps that I mentioned.
Nice.
Yeah, lots of detail there to find your next great culinary experience.
Well, I want to take this time to thank you, Bernia, for welcoming Garrett and I out here. I'm going to finish off this. Garrett's going to get into his. I just want to say thank you. I had a great time. This is phenomenal. So make sure you go check out this site to get yourself booked in all over the soup series, the summer courses. And I just want to say we're here to make your meals hook, line, and simple. Thank you.